Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Equalizer. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, we start off with Jenna and Shireen, who are planning to rob the place that they work at, but at the last second, they bail out. And that's the complicated thing of, while they were in the process of committing a crime and backing out, they witness another crime, a murder. Well, a robbery and a murder. And so they get in contact with Robin, and so she ends up helping them. Shireen, she has no choice to avoid taking her to a hospital where these guys might go looking for her. Or, because also a hospital is going to ask a whole bunch of questions about the gunshot wound and stuff like that. Probably questions they can't 100% answer without implicating themselves. So she takes, I was like, where are you going to take her? And it's like, oh, took her to her ex. I was like, yo, this is something I brought up in season 1. I was like, okay, because Delilah, season 1's, the way season 1 ended off, I was wondering whether or not Miles would ever get cast and we would get to see him, and lo and behold, we have. So I figured that was going to, the storyline's happening a lot later than I thought we would get it, of eventually, like, Miles turning against Robin because of, her current circumstances. We do learn that it seems Miles knows about her history. It seems like Robin initially lied about it. I mean, I guess when you have a job the way she does, what she had to do with the CIA, of course you're going to lie to people. You can't really be honest with someone about that type of lifestyle and that life. But she eventually was. Either she honestly told him or he eventually found out on his own. Which I think it's probably more impactful if he found out on his own, because I think that leads to a lot of his distrust in Robin. If she came forward, even if it was later in the relationship, probably would have made it better. But so I'm assuming he discovered on his own. That led to issues, just like Delilah finding out on her own, and that led to some issues. So I think it'd be all kind of coming a little full circle if Miles ended up finding out on his own. But obviously, and it's kind of, you almost kind of go like, you kind of, like, the episode, Miles, he's a father who loves his child, but it's like the disrespect he puts on Robin's name. You just want to, like, shut up, Miles. She does good work. She helps people. Shut up, shut up. But it's also like, right, from an outside perspective, it's like, right, I know what type of work you did. I thought you left that behind. This type of work, this type of life could end up bringing trouble to your doorstep. It could get he says, my daughter. And Robin's like, our daughter, don't get that twisted. But eventually it's going to turn into that. The whole Mason Quinn thing, eventually he's going to, if Robin gets involved with him again, crosses paths with him, he's going to come after her family. And that's when things are really going to blow up with Miles, I'm sure. And he's probably going to eventually try it I could definitely see a situation where he might try and gain full custody. Like, it could get nasty, it could get ugly like that. Because regardless of what her intentions are to help people, it's still a thing of you bringing danger into not only my life, but our daughter's life. So it's like, yeah, I'm not going to be okay with that. What are you dragging her into? What does she really know about what you do? Which, it's like, I told her what she was prepared to hear, and he was like, okay. Which I think is interesting, because I guess she never really went into full details. I think what she's implying is she didn't tell her all the CIA stuff. She did wet work for the CIA, so she killed people. Probably some people, once again, like she said at the beginning of the series, and we don't know how true that is, but at the beginning of the series, she said what bothered her the most wasn't the people she killed, but more so the people she couldn't save. So, but still, the people she has killed probably all been very, very bad people, so it's not that much of her conscience, but it still doesn't erase the fact is, oh yeah, she's killed people, and that's something she's not ready for her daughter to have to fully come to terms with. Like, I'm in dangerous situations, I help people, I used to work for the CIA, sure, but I'm not going to tell you all the details until you're a little bit older, because I think Robin also doesn't want Delilah to ever look at her that way of, man, my mom is, killed people, for a living. Yes, you were basically, it could borderline as like, wow, you were like a government-sanctioned hitman to some extent, and I don't think that's going to sit well. But we'll have to wait and see how everything ends up transpiring. But I thought it was interesting because Robin was like, yo, don't get it twisted, Miles. I'm not the only one that's keeping secrets. And you're like, what is Miles keeping secrets about? That's going to be the interesting thing. But also knowing that they met through work. He was working with Doctors Without Borders, and she was, it's like, right, the CIA and everything, like, we protected, or at least some unit she was leading ended up protecting him when some very bad people tried to mess with him. So This complicated world is how they met each other, and it's, so I just think that's all interesting. Regardless, we'll circle back to some of that Miles stuff at the end, but continuing as things are, they're trying to figure out, okay, so you could immediately feel like it was an inside job the moment, like, right, there was nothing reported, like, no one went in, found any missing money or anything, so it's like, right, so what did they steal? Did they put the money back? They wouldn't have had time to do that when they had to clean up the body, so it definitely seemed like it was an inside job, especially when Harry was like, yo, this camera's being looped from, like, footage from the night before, okay? So we got to find out who's responsible. The moment they start throwing out suspects, and it's like, oh, it's Lyle, the cashier, or someone else, I was like, it's Bernie. It's got to be Bernie, because he's an unsuspecting person. But even Harry said, like, right, it's a long list of people at this store who could, because they, Jenna and Shireen did what they did because they were both desperate. Jenna got evicted. She had to drop out of nursing school. She's losing custody of her child. So she's trying to work, but she can't make enough money at working a minimum job. And I think that ends up being a through line, like, all throughout this. Is like, right, like, that's what this is all a byproduct of. These are all people who are desperate to do things. The difference is Jenna and Shireen didn't go through it. They almost did, but I think it speaks volumes about who they are, that despite their circumstances, they were like, no, we're smart enough to come up with this plan. We can find a different way. The other side of things with, like, everyone else involved, I didn't see that Gordon thing coming, but I guess it was just like, right, I guess in retrospect, how open he was about talking about his experience, I don't know. I guess in retrospect, it was like, after something traumatic, you thought he'd be like, the way he talked about it a little awkwardly, but it just didn't seem like someone who was traumatized by it. But it was like, who am I to talk about someone else's trauma and how they deal with it? He just, initially to me, I'm like, it just seemed like he talked about it a little too casually somewhat. So, because I guess it also makes sense too, because, well, I was about to say, they had an insider when it came to the situation at that $1 store, so that's why the camera was able to be looped. So I was about to say, like, why wouldn't they do the same thing at this other place? Because typically, like, if you do something, it'll usually be a pattern of, like, it's kind of your style and their signature. They didn't wear masks because they had an insider, so it's like, why wouldn't they have an insider at the place Gordon worked? Gordon most likely being the inside. I don't know. It's just, I guess in retrospect, that's where my mind is going. But like I said, I didn't really suspect the whole Gordon being the brains of the operation. There's other elements in the story because there's a guy, Trey, who got arrested because the feds got him because they've been investigating this counterfeit ring, because that's what this is all about. What they were stealing from $1 was exchanging the fake bills they had with real ones. So that's how they were cleaning their money. And the fact is that the place Gordon worked at, they stole, like, ink and stuff because it also allowed for them to, like, print and make monies, fake money. So that's what the heart of this whole situation is that Jenna and Shireen found themselves in. The moment Lyle was like, I'm going to take your phone, I was like, yeah, like I said, I was sure it wasn't going to be Lyle. I was sure it was going to be Bernie, especially when Bernie looked at her phone at the end. I was like, it is Bernie. But he handed her phone, I was like, maybe not. And it's like, oh, I should have trusted my gut. But Lyle comes off like such a douchebag that he's like, oh, like, how dare you take a phone? She's like, no, it's an emergency. I don't care. Give me your phone. Oh, she could give me her phone. Or like, why do you have to be such a tool, guy? My dude. Maybe because he feels powerless in his own life, because Harry did say, like, he had, like, some struggles that he was dealing with, so it's most likely, like, hey, he was up to his ears with other stuff, and he felt powerless in other aspects of his life, because usually it's like a bully. Oh, you bully someone because you were bullied yourself. It's a cycle. So, like, right, you're kind of, like, someone's kind of bringing pressure down on you, so you kind of take that out on your employees. That's what the type of feel I get from Lyle. So, but I mean, it's like, man, you seem like such a douchebag. And because Lyle did that, it almost got Jenna killed in the process. So, obviously, at the end of it all, Gordon didn't want to kill Jenna. It's like, right, maybe she didn't know. Maybe her friend, she doesn't even know where her friend is either. Maybe we could, like, pay them off for something not to say anything, because Gordon didn't want anyone to get hurt. It already crossed the line the moment Nick killed that what guy's name, what was it, Rudy or whatever, killed him. So, but Nick was someone who already went to jail and then got out, and he wasn't about to go back, especially because like I work for a business where I'm making minimum wage, and the guy who's the CEO of the business makes like $7 million. It's like and I'm not getting a bigger slice of the pie. Like, it is just like, right, minimum wage sometimes it isn't, like, you know, especially with the curveballs that life throws your way, you know? So, luckily everything was resolved. Jenna was okay. Shireen was okay in recovering. They ended up catching everyone involved, and luckily Robin had Dante by her side throughout this entire investigation, which I like that. I wonder, are they going to go down the route of Dante ever becoming a PI, because his Fed buddy that he was talking to was like, oh, like, you know, oh, I know, you might have turned your badge in, but you must be doing a PI thing, which he's not, but it makes you wonder, is that the direction he's going to go? Or will he think, you know, because it might always be the thing of, right, I have to figure out what I want to do, what the badge means to me, why I want to do this in the first place. Yeah, I get to help people, but there's a complications that come with, you know, being a police officer, and I'm curious what that's going to translate. Will he be like, right, I can do more good as a PI, or will he go back being like, no, I can do more good as a cop? Well, we'll have to wait and see, because even he's like, yeah, I'm not in a position right now to take a badge, when his buddy was like, yo, I can, you know, give you get you, like, you know, where the real work happens. I can get you a job with the service. And he was like, nah, I don't want a badge right now. So he might go more towards the private investigator route, because, or at very least, he might officially join the Team Robin. That might be it. Which I thought that was the cutest thing ever, when he was like, all right, I will help you out. And he's like, on one condition. She's like, what? I want your name. She's like, my name? It's like, yeah, you know? And she's like, and I thought you liked the little mysteries. Like, yeah, but satisfying mysteries are like when you get the answers. So, and she's like, all right, when it's all said and done, I'll give you your name. And he's like, okay, he's like, time for my payment. And she's like, oh, look at the time. And he's like, oh, you're just going back out. And she's like, Robin. And he's like, it's nice to finally meet you, Robin. I'm like, oh, it is cute, and it makes sense. Like, after all you've been through, the ups and downs, but there's obviously been nothing but up lately. It is nice to, I like that. Which I think is also interesting, the timing, because it's like, cool, Miles and Robin having their issues, and now, like, I mean, that was always a thing, but now it's even more upfront. We get to witness it. Kind of the issues that are kind of the underlying issues that are there, but also, like, at the same time, Dante's learning her name, and, you know, so we'll see. Because also at the same time, what Robin's doing, yes, it's without a badge, and dangerous people will find their way, but it's no different, and I think Dante would also recognize that too. It would be like no different from him being, as a cop, there's no guarantee he would ever, like, you know, and he hopes and prays that things work out, that, you know, he can always come back to his children, but, you know, there was almost a fairly recently in episode 13, obviously, where he almost did. So I think he could be a little more, cut Robin a little more slack, whereas Miles won't. Because I think that's just the difference. Like, what Robin does is like what a cop would do, or a private investigator, just without the badge or the... I mean, to be fair, she has, like, the DA's backing and blessings to continue doing what she does. So, I mean, I think that legitimizes it to some extent. It's not, like, official, but it's unofficial recognition. So it's like, you know, that's why I'm like, I don't know. We'll see how Miles feels about it later on. The fact is that so many, like, I think you could draw the parallel to, like, a police officer, that, like, what she does in that regard of, like, yeah, danger might find its way to you because, like, right, someone who has a grudge against you be like, oh, you arrested me, might try to come after you or your family. Like, the same thing happens there, so. But, once again, it's not the cleanest comparison, considering what she does and the type of people she gets mixed up with, so it's not a one-for-one, but still. And since I am on the subject of Miles, because her Aunt Vi and Delilah were worried, because it's like, right, I guess talking about being more open to everyone. I was actually surprised that she told them about Bishop, but Delilah had met him before. He was actually helping her with her PTSD and such. And so I guess it's to keep everything open and transparent. She probably was very open about, I lost a good mentor and friend of mine. And that's what worries Delilah. It's like, right. She always said Bishop was like the best at what he does. And look what happened to him. Like, Mom, that could happen to her. And even Vi is like, yeah, your mom, she might be tough. She might be really good at what she does, but she isn't invincible. Luckily, she's not alone, but more often than not, like Mel has gotten more and more into field with her, but more often than not, she's out investigating and handling stuff on her own. I think she's kind of used to that. But she has Harry and Mel as support, but still, it's like, you're going to need a bigger help. And so, like, if Dante does join or whatever, having a police officer on the, so we'll see how that plays out. Because that might be a contributing factor for Dante on whether or not he takes his badge back, is wanting to be there to help out Robin. But Vi and Delilah talk to Robin about, right, how worried they are about it. She's like, guys, you don't have to worry. Like, I'm good. I've got this handled. If I'm ever really, really in danger, I'll let you know. And it's like, but what's sparking all this? It's like, Dad called. He wanted to ask me about what you're into. And it's like, well, what'd you say? I lied to him. And she's like, and that hurts Robin. It's like, she lied to protect me. She shouldn't have to do that. And even Vi's like, honestly, though, we know it won't be the last of it. She's going to have to continue lying because you know how Miles can get. He is like a dog with a bone. Like, he's going to keep digging. And the moment he finds out what Robin's really up to, I think there's going to be a situation where and I think it's going to be the Mason Quinn stuff. She's going to be like, I need you to look after Delilah. And then he's going to use that as either that's going to be the thing where he's like, all right, we can work something out. And he's going to be a little bit more amendable. Or he's going to go full-blown, like, overprotective parent. Like, it's going to be douchey, but at the same time, it's going to be a situation of maybe he's going to tell Delilah that, like, no, I'm getting sole custody of our daughter, which Delilah is not going to be happy about that. Like, I'm sure it was a rough arrangement to get used to, but obviously she got used to it. But, like, if her dad tries to take her away from her mom, I'm sure that's not going to go over well. But then it might be a thing of, right, you have to hear all the stuff that your mom's kept from you. But there's also, once again, what has Miles kept from her is really interesting. Because we know what Robin's kept from her, but we have no idea what it is up with, Miles in that regard. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. But luckily other things worked out throughout the episode too. I thought was kind of interesting. I kind of felt bad that we don't know what happened to Bernie at the end of all of this. He felt bad about what he did, but he was so desperate and he just wanted to make a little money. Never thought anyone would be hurt, but he did sell Jenna out. But he was like, yeah, I thought they would just talk to her. And it's like, right, things could have gone super sideways, because of him. So what happened to him in the aftermath of this, we'll have to wait and see. We saw that Trey finally got released because he was just lying to protect his wife, because she basically cashed a check somewhere and got the fake money. And he thought, like, right, I'll take the blame because if I don't, it's going to fall on my wife. So, and she's doing everything she can to keep everything afloat while he's in jail and stuff, because he ended up losing his job. So clearing his name of all that probably will help, at least to some extent, you hope. Jenna and Shireen got like a $10,000 reward because the tip, because Dante gave Jenna's name to his FBI buddy, and that way it's like, right, the person who tips you off gets a reward, so they're going to get that money to be able to help them at least stay somewhat afloat, But I thought this episode also did a really good job of kind of just a small thing, but the continuation of, for Robin, because Dante had asked her, like, what she's going to do about, still dealing with the whole Bishop thing, her friend. And it's like, that's going to take a little bit longer time, but I'm dealing with it my own way, which is distracting myself with helping other people. And she's saying, Dante might be maybe helping people who kind of distract him too from a lot of stuff, so... Like I said, a lot of interesting things. I'm very excited to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, love life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.